Hello creeps, Andy here, and I just recently moved and so none of my bookshelves are set up. You can thank my husband for that because I just spent 2 hours last night trying to put lights on them. I seriously worked on it for 2 hours. I asked him for help and he came in and just Hulk smashed everything and broke all the lights, and so I had to start over, and so whatever. It's his fault, blame him. But yeah, that's why nothing's set up yet. I don't even have my light up. It's a mess. But I wanted to talk about the movie The Boogeyman because it came out like 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to do this video 2 weeks ago. It's been a disaster. But anyways, I'm here now. So hopefully one of you will watch this video. But anyways, I wanted to talk about The Boogeyman because it came from this book right here, which is Night Shift by Stephen King. This is a book of short stories. The Boogeyman is one of the stories in here. They took that and they turned it into this new movie, The Boogeyman. So I wanted to do a movie verse book for you today. This one, I'm gonna definitely be talking about what happens in the book, so I'll give away pretty much everything. It's only a 20-page story, so I can't really talk about it without giving everything away, or mostly everything. But the movie, I'm gonna keep it kind of vague. I'm not gonna like ruin anything for you since the movie just came out. So let's start with the book. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the book first, and then we'll move on to the movie. So the book, it's about a man named Lester who goes to a therapist to tell him that the boogeyman killed his children. But there's a really amazing quote. It's like one of my favorite, well, it's definitely my favorite line in the Boogeyman. But he says, I can't go to a priest because I'm not Catholic. I can't go to a lawyer because I haven't done anything to consult a lawyer. All I did was kill my kids, one at a time. Killed them all. He basically is saying that he killed his kids and that he didn't protect them from the boogeyman, not that he literally killed them. Lester in the movie, we don't really get much info on him. In the book, he's like kind of a POS. Like he's racist and misogynistic. He's kind of an a-hole, and no, kind of, he definitely is an a-hole, and you kind of hate him at the end. And so I feel like there's maybe even a little bit of room for interpretation for the reader to think that maybe he did commit these murders, but I don't know that that was the intention behind Stephen King writing this. But because he is such a bad character, you can kind of see him doing that. So yeah, I don't know, I just thought I would include that. But we don't get information or background about him in the movie. He's in the movie very minimally, which is really interesting because it's very, I feel like, vaguely based on the short story. You do have Lester, he does go to a therapist, but other than that, the movie's pretty different than the book is. We also get descriptions of the boogeyman. In the book, it says that it wanted you to hear it, and so it's kind of the same as the movie where it messes with its prey before it finally attacks you. There's description of the sounds that it makes, a slimy sliding sound or clicking sound like claws dragged over a banister. There's also a little bit more information here. We don't get a lot, but it says, and always you'd be afraid that the noises might stop for a little while, and then there would be a laugh right over your face and a breath of air like stale cabbage on your face, and then hands on your throat. That's the only quote I remembered. And after we got out of the movie, my husband's like, oh, what was the boogeyman like in the book? And I'm like, I think he smelled like cabbage. And that was the only thing I could remember. Okay, anyways. Oh, it says that he could see something awful, slumped shoulders and a scarecrow head, and I could smell something like a dead mouse in a pop bottle. So you just get very light descriptions here and there. I think there might be one more. The words sounded as if they might have come through a mouthful of rotted seaweed. Yeah, those are kind of the only descriptions you get. In my head, I pictured it as more of like a human with claws being, but I don't necessarily know that that's anything that the description made me think. I think it was just my own imagination thinking of it like a human, but I don't know. Oh, this is good. Remember how I told you he was an a-hole? Let me explain why. So he has a kid, the kid gets taken by a boogeyman. He has the kid gets taken by a boogeyman. He has the third kid, and this is the description of his third kid being taken by the boogeyman. It's kind of funny. Well, it's kind of messed up, but it's kind of funny. Okay, so basically he was saying that he was scared that the kid was going to be taken by the boogeyman, so he had it sleep with him. And then he said, so he moved him. He moved him back into his own room because he knew the boogeyman was after the kid. So I moved him. I knew it would go for him, see, because he was weaker. So Lester was so fearful of the boogeyman that he basically just left his kids for bait so he could get away and the boogeyman could get his children. At least if he wasn't the one who actually murdered the kids, he definitely had a hand in it. Anyways, then there's more description in here of how each kid died, how they explained medically the explanation for their deaths, you know, basically how they got away with their kids continually dying under the guise of this boogeyman. So that's all in here. Nothing really about the kids is in the movie. Very little, no information about Lester. Like, it's very vague when it comes to that information. But let's move on to the movie. So Lester does go to a therapist. He goes to Dr. Harper, but it's different from the book. In the book, he wants to get it off his chest of what happened, of the boogeyman. But in the movie, he seeks out Dr. Harper because Dr. Harper just recently lost his wife. And so he believes that maybe they can, like, I don't know, commiserate maybe. And so he goes to him specifically. Lester isn't the main focus of the story, but the story you get, like the information about the boogeyman and the mystery of the boogeyman is solved because of Lester's story, but he isn't the main focus like he is in the book. It's this Harper family that's the main focus, the father and his two daughters. It's a little bit more complex of a story because of the dead mom. Let me tell you, it's so heavy on the dead mom content. Like, and so there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but for me, you know, I was already kind of having a rough week, whatever. And so, yeah, it was just like, oh my God, we get it. Your mom's dead, my mom's dead, everyone's mom's dead. Can we move on? It was a little heavy on the dead mom content. So keep that in mind if that's something that like might bother you or irritate you, or it didn't bother me, but it was just like, come on. Anyways, drawn from the book, there were some things that were drawn from the book, like the closet door being open just a crack and a tape recorder being used in the session between Dr. Harper and Lester, as well as that really awesome line that I read to you in the beginning. But I gotta tell you, he doesn't say it. I was like waiting for this line. I'm like, oh, this is the best line in the book. I'm so excited. He doesn't say all I did was kill my kids one at a time, kill them all. He was just like, he was like, oh, the boogeyman killed them one at a time, killed them all. I don't know. I just felt like this line would have been delivered so cool in the movie. I understand why it wasn't. I get they kind of went a different route, but that let me down just a little bit. I really liked Lester's house in the movie. They do go to Lester's house and kind of see the destruction that the boogeyman had caused, not on the house in particular, but like on the family. I really liked the house. I thought that was a really, really awesome addition. There are also a few comments in the movie that, well, let me read you the comments and then we'll go from there. The dad says something about how scared he was to become a father. And then there's also some comment, I don't remember who says it, but how things happen when kids are neglected, or things happen when like parents turn their back on their kids. And so for me, it seems like maybe there was a little bit more of a deeper meaning than just like the surface level boogeyman. For example, perhaps it was a metaphor for like the fear of fatherhood, or it could have been a metaphor for like, no matter how much you love your children or care for your children, you always kind of fuck them up. You can't protect them from everything. They're always going to experience hard times because that's just life. Or it could just be, you know, about the boogeyman. But those comments did make me think, and I didn't read anything about Stephen King writing this story, so I don't know if it had a deeper meaning for him. And I don't know if I'm reaching here, but just from those few comments, it did seem like perhaps the boogeyman could be a deeper metaphor. I guess what I'm saying is it's more up to the interpretation of how you read or view the movie, and you know, you can be the judge of that. In closing, it was actually a pretty decent monster movie. It's PG-13. I had honestly no faith going into it. I really didn't know how it was gonna go. A lot of the times when you take these shorter stories, even novellas, and turn them into full-length novels, a lot of times they feel disjointed and they feel like a few people's stories being smushed together, and they don't feel cohesive like sometimes taking a full-length novel does when you turn it into a film. And I think they did a pretty good job with this. I didn't mind the changes that they made to make the movie a little bit more cohesive. There were actually a few scenes that were genuinely creepy, and the monster, there's a few monster scenes where I'm like, that was awesome. And for a PG-13 movie, and for like a little monster movie, and for a movie that obviously doesn't have much hype around it, and probably not a lot of people went out and saw, I thought it was a pretty decent watch. I wouldn't say run out and spend $30 at the movies, but if it's streaming on something, or if you can rent it for like a few bucks, I would definitely do it. I enjoyed this movie. It'll be one that I go back and revisit for sure. I liked it a lot more than I thought it would. Is it the best movie in the world? No. Is it the worst? No. It's definitely not the worst. Like, there actually were some genuinely creepy things. One last thing is, it's not the most informative movie. So if you're looking for them to find like where the boogeyman came from and how it does what it does, and it's not that type of movie. It's definitely on that, in that sense, it's definitely more surface level, but that's fine with me. Like, I don't mind something as obscure as the boogeyman, us not getting all the information that maybe we would want to have in other cases. I think a lot of times monster movies are vague for that reason, just because they're supposed to be more like elusive beasts versus something that is tangible and can be explained. So was it like this spectacular, groundbreaking, phenomenal film? No, but I did enjoy it. Like, I thought it did what it was supposed to do. Yeah, so let me know. Have you guys seen the movie? If you have, let me know what you thought about it, because I did see a few of the people that I follow online post that they had seen it and they were like, oh, it's actually a pretty decent movie. And that's how I feel. Let me know if you guys have read the Boogeyman short story. Let me know if you're planning on watching the movie. Let me know everything. But otherwise, yeah, movie versus book comparison, they're pretty different. And both are worth checking out for sure. And I wouldn't even say that the story is like a million times better than the movie. I would say that they're pretty on par with each other. The short story just feels like kind of like a silly, you know, little boogeyman short story, and the movie feels like it's maybe trying to be a little bit deeper than that. But anyways, I think they're both worth checking out, and that is my comparison of the Boogeyman movie versus book. Let me know what you think, and I will see you soon with another horror video. Hopefully my shelves will be done by then. Okay, bye.